In this video, we will try to understand what gov.uk says about the eligibility requirement for ILR if you have lived in the UK for 10 years. Recently, on 20th November 2025, they have published about the unsettlement. So the rules are changing, but this consultation was finished on 12th February 2026. And after that, they have published this paper in which they basically wanted to change the 10-year route. This is not changed yet, but sooner or later it will change. But at the moment, ILR still remains for 10 years. If you have lived in the UK without any gaps, you can apply. So let's start with the 8 basic requirements for ILR on the basis for 10-year residence. In order to qualify for ILR on the basis of 10-year long residence, you need to demonstrate the UKVI that you are in the UK on the date of the application. This is rule number 1. Rule number 2, you have completed a qualifying period of 10 years, continuous and lawful residence in the UK. Later on in this video, we will discuss more about the continuous residence. What does that mean? How many holidays you can have? How many days you can stay outside? You must have held valid permission to stay, including time spent with permission as a visitor, short-term student English language or seasonal worker. Or you must have been exempt from immigration control. So it clearly says that any time you have spent on visitor visa, short-term study visa or seasonal worker visa won't be included towards the ILR towards 10 years route. Okay. Next one is you must have been exempt from an immigration control, or you must have resided in the UK as an EEA national or a family member of an EEA national. Next one is if your current permission was granted on or after 11th April 2024, you must have held permission on your current route for at least 12 months before the date of application. This is very important because these rules have changed after April 2024. So if your current permission was granted on or after 11th April, so let's suppose you go skilled worker visa on 11th April 2024 or after, you must have held permission on your current route for at least 12 months before the date of the application. Or you have been exempt from an immigration control during the 12-month period immediately before applying. Another one is you must have maintained continuous residence in the UK throughout the 10-year period without any break as defined under the immigration rules. Another one is you must meet the English language requirement at CEFR level B1 in speaking and listening unless an exemption applies. On my channel, I have created videos on how to achieve level B1, what is level B1. Watch those videos and you will get the idea. Next one is you must have passed life in UK test unless exempt. Another one is you are not in the UK in breach of immigration laws, including not being on immigration bail at the time of application. Last one is your application does not fall for refusal under the general ground for refusal, such as criminality, deception, or public policy concerns. Quick note before we start, I'm not a solicitor and this video is for general information only and is not legal advice. I don't provide any visa or immigration services either. The information in this video is taken from gov.uk and used under the Open Government License. If you want to view this license, just go on gov.uk. In the search section, just write reuse gov.uk content. Click on this link, you will come to this page which explains you everything. If you go up and click on Open Government License, this government license explains you what you are allowed to do. You are free to copy, publish, distribute, and transmit the information. Further, this says exploit the information commercially and non-commercially. For example, by combining it with other information. Now let's see what gov.uk says further about the continuous residence. So, continuous residence is time you have spent in the UK without gaps. You can include time spent in the Isle of Man or the Channel Island. You can leave the UK during continuous residence for up to 180 days in any 12-month period. So 12-month period, you count from the date you started your continuous period. You cannot count time spent in the UK on visitor visa, short-term study visa, seasonal worker visa. Any time you have spent on Ukraine. So it don't say anywhere study visa. Like for example, you were doing PhD or you were doing masters, that time is included and will be considered towards the 10 years because it only says about short-term study visa, which is for 6 months. Standard visitor visa, which is for 6 months. Unless you go any medical, you can extend it. Next one, on immigration bail, temporary admission or temporary release. Any time you have spent on it, you cannot count that time. You cannot count time spent in the UK if you are in a prison, young offender institution or secure hospital. You cannot count time spent in the UK as a British citizen if you had your British citizenship removed from you. This includes if you were given a grant of exceptional assurance to stay in the UK because of COVID-19. Now the guidance also says about if you have spent time before April 2024, because the rules were different. There are different rules for period of time abroad that you stayed before 11th April 2024. You will not have continuous residence if you were abroad for more than 184 days in a row. You will not have continuous residence if you were abroad for more than 548 days in total. The word is you will not have continuous residence if you were. Further, it says only period of time abroad that started before 11th April 2024 counts towards the 548 days. Now let's see what documents you must provide. As per gov.uk, you will need to provide a current passport or a other valid ID. All other passports, if you have any, during the time you were in the UK, you need to provide them. You also need to provide either your biometric residence permit, if you have any. Maybe it's expired because it all got expired in December, but you need to provide if you have any. Online proof of your immigration status. If you have an e-visa, you will need to get a share code. You will also need to provide a certified translation of any document that you are not in English or Welsh. For example, they are in different language, in Hindi or something. You need to provide them. You may need to provide additional document depending on the circumstances. So there are long list, but you have to provide all of it. So for example, university and school attendance records, employment records, or pay slips showing your work which you have done in the UK. Alternate evidence is a key missing. For example, if you are unable to provide formal immigration document, then bank statement showing your regular UK based activity that you were inside the UK. For example, you were receiving salary or something. Tenancy agreement, council tax bill showing residence in the UK, letter from GP or NHS record confirming registration and medical appointments, correspondence from educational institution. For example, you were enrolled as an international student and you need to provide those documents. So the Home Office may accept a range of documents evidence, but it may and must be clearly to support your claim that you were lawful residents in the UK. So there are loads of documents which you need to provide. Now let's check how much it cost if you wanted to apply for this ILR 10-year route. So on gov.uk, they have provided fees and how long it take. The fees depend on what you are applying for. So if you are applying for ILR, indefinite leave to remain, on a 10-year route, that's £3,226. That's the fees for one person, not for a family. Extend your stay, 1,407. You also need to have your fingerprints and photo. They must be taken. Usually the decision takes 6 months if you apply using a standard service, but it can take very long. I have seen some cases 18 months as well. So it can take long. Yes, if you want faster decision, then you have to pay £1,000 extra for super priority service. So some people do expect £500 extra, like they were applying for skilled worker visa. But if you see and read over here, if you are applying to settle, you can pay extra £1,000. There is no option for £500. By the end of the next working day, after providing your biometric information, if your appointment is on a weekday, 2 working days after providing your biometric information, if your appointment is at the weekend. Working days are Monday to Friday, not includes any bank holiday. Now, what if your application is successful? In that case, you will get an e-visa, a digital record of your identity and immigration status. Your decision, email or letter will tell you how to get access to your e-visa. You will need to create UKVI account if you don't have any. If you have come to my channel first time, don't forget to subscribe. I have created loads of videos in which I have tried to explain what gov.uk says about these rules and regulations. If you have any question, put that in comment section and I'll get back to you.